All right. So Stonejourner is probably tier 3. You can beat Arceus and Palkia. You're favored against those two for the most part, but struggle against like everything else. Dracozolt tier bad. Palkia and Teleon is definitely tier 1. Mew, I also kind of want to put in tier 1, to be honest. I don't expect it to be like overly successful, but the deck is like good. Like Mew is still really, really good. And it kind of just depends on who chooses to play it, but like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the deck. This tier list has a lot of decks. This is Palkia, Mew, B-Barrel. This deck feels way worse than Palkia and Teleon. The only advantage this deck has over Palkia and Teleon is it doesn't have as bad of a time against Jolteon, but that's kind of it. So maybe like tier 3 because it's still a Palkia deck at the end of the day. Inteleon, Arceus, Charizard, tier 2, solid Arceus deck. Arceus and Inteleon, tier 2. I would actually maybe put this deck at tier 3. Arceus and Inteleon is just, it's like unfavored against Palkia and Inteleon, and this matchup I'm actually not so sure, but it's probably tier 2. Jolteon, Arceus, B-Barrel, probably tier 3. Jolteon, Arceus, Gyarados, tier 3 as well. I mean, Jolteon is just good when like over half the decks in the format play Inteleon, Arceus, Pikachu, Beedrill, tier 3 as well. Mewtwo, Arceus, I'm gonna put tier 4 for that deck. I don't think that deck's that good. Arceus, Pikachu V Union, also tier 4. Arceus Coco, it's basically Arceus Peak. So probably tier 3. Oh, the Arceus Pikachu is tier bad. Every time I played this deck, I felt like my opponent should have always won. It's just that they didn't play, they just kind of misplayed. But if they'd ever done the right play, they would have just beat me. Yeah, this tier list literally has every single deck on it. All right, Arceus Ice Rider is... That deck sucks. That deck is real bad. Arceus Gengar, this deck is bad. Arceus Duraludon is... It's actually probably like tier 3, to be honest. Ditto Arceus, Moltres, Raikou box. I think this deck is terrible. I don't think this deck like beats anything. I'm gonna go tier 4, but it's better than bad. Peak Bat Arceus, tier 3. Peak Arceus Decidueye. This deck is bad. This deck is tier 4. Inteleon. The deck's actually oh, it's Inteleon Blastoise. I mean, I guess that doesn't really change too much. The deck's not terrible, to be honest. Probably tier 3. Jolteon, Arceus, B-Barrel, Malamar. This deck's pretty solid too. Tier 3 though. Mew, Vikavolt, Decidueye V, Moltres. Doesn't have Arceus or Palkia, so it's probably tier 4. Inteleon, Vikavolt. I don't know why this is in here. Tier bad. Blissey Miltank. This deck I actually think might be tier 2. I actually think Blissey Miltank's pretty good. Solrock Lunatone, tier 4. Cincino. Oh, Durant. That is bad. Solrock Lunatone, Mewtwo. I haven't really played around with Mewtwo at all. It's probably like in that. Crobat Weezing is bad. Calyrex Mewtwo. It can't be worse than Solrock and Lunatone, but it's probably not a tier 3 deck. This is just straight Shadow Rider, probably also a tier 4 deck. Dialga I actually think is pretty good. I'm gonna give Dialga tier 2, I think. I actually really like Dialga. I might be overhyping that deck a little bit, but Turbo Gengar. This deck sucks. Turbo Dark. I think this deck is also worse than these. Actually, I don't know. Well, the box decks are like kind of cool at the very least. And Arceus Flying Peak plus the Decidueye at least has Arceus and Flying Peak, so it can't be that bad. Control deck, it looks like. Mewtwo, Miltank, Snorlax. I don't know what this picture... Oh, it's a Venusaur. Tier 2. Water Box is probably tier 4. I kind of want to give it tier 3, but the deck, like, cannot beat Arceus and Inteleon at all. So I feel like if you can't 50-50... If you can't like beat them Arcantel and Palcantel sometimes, then you're just not, you can't be in tier 3. You're a tier 4 deck. Like if you can't like have a solid game plan against those decks, then you're just like, you're not a deck basically. Inteleon, Radiant Charizard, Moltres. So it's like Firebox, Inteleon with an SQ. Like, why is there an SQ? And then this one has a Moltres. This one's like Dark Charizard box. All these decks are pretty good, I think. Mad Party is so bad. Samurott is awful. Charizard VMAX actually isn't that bad, but it's probably tier 4, not tier 3. Samurott and Inteleon is so bad. I wish it was good. Darkrai Weezing. I like Darkrai Weezing more than the Turbo Dark build, but they're both so bad. Inteleon Ice Rider, probably a tier 3. Inteleon Palkia Ice Rider Greninja. Oh wait, this deck is like bad then. This is a bad deck. If it's just Ice Rider plus Inteleon, this deck is like a tier 3. This is the build that's a tier 3. This is the B-Barrel build. I'll also give this one tier 3 because I don't actually know which one of these two is better, to be honest. Urshifu. I've been playing Ursh recently. It has been feeling kind of nice. I kind of like Ursh right now. I'm going to put Ursh in tier 2. Wait, this is Ursh with Dark Stuff? That's like a tier 4 deck. Ursh with Dark Stuff is bad. That might even just be bad, to be honest. Ursh with like a more Cheryl focus or Yoga Loop focus is not terrible. Slowbro, that's a tier 3. Gigas, a tier 4. And then we have Orbeetle, that is bad. There's so many decks in this what's it called, in this tier list. Let's take a quick scan over it. Let's make sure we're in the right spot here. So tier 1 we have Mew and Palcontel. It maybe should just be Palcontel, to be honest, but I think for Worlds specifically, Mew is like looking like a better play than it has recently, so I almost want to give Mew the shout here and put him in tier 1. Tier 2 you got Zard Arcantel, Blissey Miltank, Dialga, Mewtwo Union Miltank, and then Urshifu. Tier 3 you got the Stone, and then you got so much Arceus B-Barrel, so many Arceus B-Barrel decks. It's just like a bunch of Arceus B-Barrel decks and Palkia decks. So should I bump any of them down or up is the question. I should probably move Zoroark down. This is a tier 4 deck. It's a tier 4 deck. But the other one's got Arceus and Pikachu or Arceus and Duraludon. You got the Zard box decks. Otherwise, or you got some Palkia builds. Okay, that's all tier 3, I think. I think that all is solid tier 3 stuff. And then tier 4 is kind of a shrimp fest. Yeah, I think this came out pretty well. I actually really like this tier. Actually, the only thing that I'm not sure about is if I want to put Mew in tier 2 or if I want to put Mew in tier 1. My testing with Mew recently, it's like Mew's pretty good still. Mew's a good deck. I think Mew's probably still a tier 1 deck, to be honest. Yeah, I like this tier list. This is good. Lock it in. Optimal tier list headed into the World Championships.